Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second industry sessions of the year. We're here today with Natasha Brito, branding expert. I know we are so excited to have you here. So, thank you so much for being a part of our industry sessions. And let's just tap in, everyone who's here on the call. Let us know where you're tapping in from. I see Ebri checking in from Columbus, Ohio. Little Spiral calling in from LA. What's up, David Thomas, Eric, Nelson, Lizantino, Santiago? Nice to see you on here. Marlena's checking in from Massachusetts. All right, Nelson from Miami. All right, we're all across the country today. That's awesome. Emily in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm tapping in from Virginia. Natasha, where are you tapping in from?
Dallas, Texas.
Okay, Texas. Oh,
Hey.
Christian, yay. Good to see you, Christian, from Boulder, Colorado. Rodney, will this session be recorded and available to view? Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So if you have to tap out early, no worries. We will have the session recorded and you can get it. No Chill from Las Vegas. Andrew Lindsay Cohen, one of our IndieFlow community moderators, is here, tapping in from Vermont. Wonderful, wonderful, everyone. Okay, so I know I've had conversations with many of you, and branding is something that comes up a lot. So tell me, drop an emoji in there if you're just excited to learn more about branding from someone who does it all the time, makes their living off of it, and has been studying it for many, many, many years. Yes, celebration. Absolutely. And just before we get started with questions for you, Natasha, I just want to mention that we have an incredible deal today for anyone who's not currently an IndieFlow member. You can sign up for an IndieFlow Austere bundle where you get the IndieFlow platform and the Austere branding course. Natasha, what's the name of your course again?
Yeah, we call it the Iconic Artist Blueprint. There's so much more than branding on there, so definitely a steal with this deal. So it's a good one.
It
Yeah.
is a steal with this deal. You can see it. You should be able to see it. Grab the 197 IndieFlow Austere bundle. So if you know you're ready for that, go for it. And I'll be mentioning it more. And also, we've got something for the IndieFlow members who are already IndieFlow members as well. So you just wait. Don't worry. All right. So, yay. All right. We got some people excited. So, Natasha, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your background. I see a guitar back there. I'm wondering if you might be an artist yourself and how you got into working in the field of branding and marketing.
Yeah. So yes, I was a musician back in the day. I still play for fun nowadays, but I
Mhm.
actually started in music back in the MySpace days, which shows my age, but don't come for me, you guys. I figured out how to go viral on MySpace back when it was like the heyday of music in the MySpace space. Hit over 1 million streams in 6 months. Got like 25,000 friends at the time,
That's
really
right.
quickly, and really just figured out how to market myself and brand myself a specific way. But then as soon as, people transitioned over to Facebook, I was like in denial. I was like, this is crap. I don't want to be involved with this ugly platform. I had like, the intuition that Mark Zuckerberg was going to suck. And so I actually ended up losing all my fans when I finally decided to translate over, which is a huge lesson in always diversify all the platforms you keep your fans on. Keep them across all the platforms, because I didn't. I lost everyone. And instead of starting over, I said, you know what, screw this. I actually prefer the branding and the marketing side of this, being an artist so much more instead of making the music as much. So let me focus my career in this space, supporting musicians, doing the branding and the marketing, and kind of taking it from there. So it was a blessing in disguise. But yeah, long story short, yes, I was a musician. I just play for fun.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So tell me, let's like start from basics. Like what is branding in your words and why is it important for musical artists today?
Yeah. So, branding in general is the art of crafting how you're being how your perception of yourself online for other people, right? So for brands, it's very clear there's colors and textures and there's styles and aesthetics and all that stuff. For musicians, it's a little bit more amorphous because you're a person that's also
Right.
packaging yourself as a product. So you have to really learn how to develop those key, subliminal elements to your storytelling that come off from a sonic perspective, from a visuals perspective, and from a speaking and written perspective. And all of that really creates a cohesive branding. But the subliminal piece to it is the most important part, which a lot of musicians don't realize is important, but is basically being done by every single major artist that's out there right now with their imaging teams. And people just don't know that that's happening.
Got it. So I love how you broke it down into like the visual aspect, the speaking and writing aspect, and then the sonic aspect, the actual music, and having those be a cohesive kind of offering
Yeah.
online. So you mentioned big artists. Tell me, who are some artists that you feel like have their branding like down pat, and why?
Yeah, I'll name some like classics from the recent last 10 to 20 years that are
Mhm.
pretty relatable, and I think you'll immediately grasp their branding when you hear their names. We look at people like Adele, we look at people like Lady Gaga,
Yeah.
uh, Tyler the Creator, these are musicians who really understood the assignment of creating a style and a narrative that is very, very in tune with who they are, and completely differentiates themselves from other musicians. Adele is a perfect example of, if you look at her, you think of like all of her and her people that she has on her stage like dress in like old timey working class English like aesthetics because she
Mhm.
wants to communicate that she's like a working woman. She's a part of the common folk in Europe. That was like a big part of her branding. Everything that she does has the sepia tone, has shadow, has all of these pieces in her branding, from her logo to her music videos to everything, to represent that she's like this classic old like style musician. She has this sultry sound that is almost timeless. So
Yes.
her branding really speaks to all of those things, and she is using it across every aspect that she can to make people resonate with that style. Lady Gaga, I mean, I feel like I don't even have to speak to that. She's just very clear. She's the most extreme version of knowing how to brand yourself as an artist and completely individualize yourself from other people. And then Tyler,
Yes.
the Creator, I mean, that dude went from eating a cockroach in his first major music video that got him super viral, and really, really showing that he was like this wild, crazy, edgy dude that was in rap at the time, like doing something completely different, but he was going for a darker direction that was just constant shock factor. And that really allowed him to set the stage to then rebrand himself over time. And now he's going for like this soft flower boy thing, but he gave himself permission to be able to do that and transcend.
Wow, those are all good examples. I hadn't thought about, I'm an Adele fan, and I
Yeah.
hadn't thought about like her visual identity and that kind of relation to like the common people, or like her common experiences, which is I think why she sings about like love and relationships so much, because that's like a very like universal common experience that we all
Yeah.
have, you know, especially.
There's so many micro references for her too. I mean, all her album covers, it's all really close up. You can't tell, like, she almost doesn't even look like she ages in any of them on purpose. Like, they want these to feel like they could have existed at any time in history, which is a
Mhm.
really beautiful thing. And it's very simple and clean. And her lyrics also have a lot of references to like common references that people would feel related to. So I think she just does a good
Hometown.
job.
Hometown's one of my favorite songs of hers.
Hometown. I mean, even the title itself is
Yeah.
like, how can you be more relatable than being like other people that are so lavish and unrealistic and have this completely different type of lifestyle that you could never as a more normal person.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so tell me, from an artist, we have a lot of artists here who haven't really dived into branding. They're making the music, but they haven't taken any steps towards branding. So, what would you say are the first steps to an art for an artist who has no branding, or maybe an artist that's like been thinking a little bit about branding, and then like what's the process to kind of like getting to a more clear brand direction and understanding?
Okay, so this is the exact process that my team and I do whenever anyone like hires us for the service.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super easy to do yourself. If you already have music that you've written at any phase, it doesn't have to be final production or anything, but if you've written music, the best way that you can build your branding is by going through like a synesthetic meditative process. So I'll explain that.
Ooh,
You're going
okay.
to sit down by yourself, like dedicate an hour to this where you like are level-headed. Try it twice, maybe level-headed and then maybe on some stuff, see what works best for you. But you want to sit down and you want to put some headphones on, you want to have a pen and paper with you, something like that to take notes, and you're going to close your eyes, meditate, and listen to your music. And as you're listening to your music, you need to write down what you see with your third eye. And when I say that third eye, it really just means when you close your eyes, are there symbols and colors and textures and things that are popping up in your head while you're listening to your music? If
Wow.
there are, there's a very direct relationship with what your sonic branding and your physical visual branding. So you'll write all that stuff down, as crazy as it sounds, and even if it doesn't make sense, just write down the list and then, do it for a few songs or do it for an hour or something, and then review what you wrote down, what things came to mind, and then find like the repetitive pieces to it. Did you see or say the same thing over and over again? Whether it is a color, a texture, an object, a symbol, whatever it may be, and pull those out as more primary pieces to the branding. From there, you take it to like a Pinterest or something that you can search through a lot of imagery and start like plugging in those keywords that you can start like building it out. Again, continue listening to the music while you're doing it. And as you're building out this, kind of mood board of identity, you start kind of piecing together this holistic view of what this could be. But while you do that, you can also start writing out something we call a subliminal narrative. Every major artist,
Narrative.
subliminal narrative.
Okay.
And it's amazing because no one talks about it, but if you look at all major artists, they all have some form of this. Lana Del Rey, for example, if you wrote her subliminal narrative, it would be something like um, uh, a girl, a woman like stuck in a time loop constantly after her own tragedy, and then maybe something about it has to do with like Masonic whatever, because she has a lot of like references to things like that back when you have to think about how people first branded themselves when they got famous, not what they're doing now, because now she's like doing whatever the hell she wants to do. When she first got famous, she was doing a very Masonic, Illuminati inspired aesthetic where she was this old kind of like regal character, like almost a queen stuck in a time loop, always after tragedy. Everything she wrote about was about death and all that stuff. So her subliminal narrative was really after this persona, this story that we never really knew, but she was using as character traits to all of her music videos, all of her songs. So you write this fake story per se of what your branding is about. Are you a superhero fixing a cyberpunk world and you're helping make it a better place and you make electronic music or something? How can you use that subliminal narrative to then pull symbolism and objects from your original ideation session and then use that to create your branding? Because the curiosity factor of fans, like them not really knowing what the hell your branding is ultimately, is what brings them to want to watch more and more of your content, because then they're just like, I feel like I know what's going on but I don't, and that is like a massive visual hook on people. So that subliminal narrative, you'll never share it in a press release, you'll never share it in an interview, but it'll be what informs everything that you do.
Wow. Okay, that I've never heard that before. So you're saying first really start by like listening to your music, being fully present with it, closing your eyes and kind of meditating on your own music to see what it is you see, what stories come up, what images come up, what words come up, and then taking that to, as you said, Pinterest, or maybe you're finding images from online and then gathering them into a folder for yourself or something like that. And then working all that into a subliminal narrative, which I love how you put it. I put it in the chat, a fake story about what your branding is about. And I really like how you used, excuse me, Lana Del Rey as a reference, because you're right. She does that. It's like something tragic happened to her. And she does also give that kind of like vintage LA, vintage Las Vegas kind of vibe to me too. Yeah. Like whatever happened, it happened in one of those towns. And, you know, yeah, she had to either, she got stuck there because of it. And, you know,
yeah. Like maybe she's already dead and we don't know it. And this is just her reliving, you know, these wild dreams of romance and, you know, you just don't know, but that could easily have been her subliminal narrative when she was branded like that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it is. I just got goosebumps because I was like, that's so true. Like she could be, her music is almost like, it's all memories. It's all like memories from a past life almost.
Exactly. So that's how you know you do it right, is when you can have a bunch of different songs about different things, but that branding of how you're dressed and the scenery and the shadow and the coloring and all of those things are telling a more larger, broader, cohesive story that you still don't really fully know. That's freaking gold.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I love how you touched on, like, you know, the elements of a brand. Tell me, how important are those elements of visual aesthetic to branding? Like the look, the color scheme, typography. Does a musical artist need to have like colors they use and certain fonts they use and filters and like a look? I recently heard this and I loved it, that if someone can't be you for Halloween, then you don't have a good like visual identity. And it really struck me because you know how, you know, if Michael Jackson, you know, if someone dresses up as Michael Jackson, someone who recently did that, who I'm a big fan of, is Janelle Monáe, who wore her black and white tuxedo for the first 8 years of her career. Now she wears whatever she wants. But yeah, when I first saw her in concert, she's wearing the tuxedo. So tell me, yeah, like how important do we have to have the typography, the color scheme, the visual aesthetic? You know, how deep do we need to go with this?
I'd say, you know, if you're going into the music world and you want to be a musician, like you have to go all in. I always tell musicians, like, you cannot half-ass this. You really have to dedicate every piece to it. So the way, you know, here's some how it's broken down: how you dress, how you speak. So voice and tone. Voice and tone are separate things, but they're cohesive in how you communicate, right? Across social media, across your music, across, you know, your narratives, etc. And then we're looking at, you know, the types of concept photo shoots you do that support your albums or your singles or even between singles, your social content, inspo content, logo, of course, all the cover arts. If you do an album, make sure it's conceptual, make sure there's a see-through line about the music. It's telling a holistic story within your broader story. So everything has to have some sort of story behind it. But yeah, it's literally everything.
So I love what you said. It's like, if you're going to go all in, go all in. Don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
So social media, I mean, artists, like, social media is so important these days in terms of, you know, being able to market yourself. How do you take your branding principles that you've created and then translate them into a content strategy for social media?
Yeah, great question. Typically, whenever you're taking it on to social media, there are 3 different buckets to consider your content. We call it ABC storylines. It's something that you can develop yourself, but you're telling 3 buckets of content that always need to exist. The first one is typically like content for your releases. What kind of content are you putting for those releases? And that's usually like promotional content for the actual tracks. It's, clips of the music video or visual ed or visualizer for people to preview. It's announcements about merch and things like that. And a couple of other kind of pieces that fall into promoting it. And as long as your colors are cohesive, your style, your typography is cohesive and all that stuff, that kind of helps tell the story. But then the other pieces of like your content strategy need to be broader. What is the overarching aesthetic of your subliminal narrative that you can pull from? If you're going for futurism, grab lots of inspo imagery from other creators and feature that in your content. There's nothing wrong with featuring other people's work as long as you credit it. And I feel like a lot of musicians get really stuck on, well, I don't have enough content. And I'm like, that's not true. The internet is filled with content that you can reshare and credit, because people love being credited, and then mix in some of your original content behind. And then, the third bucket that I haven't mentioned yet is the organic side of an artist. What is your behind the scenes content? What is your creative process? What kind of content are you creating that shows people a little bit more of the persona or personality that you're creating? This is more lifestyle content. Is it an outfit of the day? Is it behind the scenes from a show, or is it concert, photography or videos or anything like that? Let people in on the actual artistic experience while also getting the promotional and then the inspirational content.
Okay, so I love how you broke it down into these 3 content buckets. So what I'm hearing is like your promotional stuff. So like when you're releasing music, what is the imagery of that story? And then repurposing, it sounds like using using other people's content to inspire your own subliminal narrative.
Yes.
And then the kind of like lifestyle personality, the stuff that you're not necessarily promoting a release, but you are in fact promoting your personality and promoting who you are, letting people get to know you.
Yeah. And when we say this is your content strategy, this is more so focused on traditional platforms. We're looking at your Instagrams, your Facebooks, your Twitters, right? Yes. But the new reigning true channel that everyone is Miss TikTok. Okay. So TikTok is its own beast and the content strategy is different there though. So that, and we can, whatever you want to talk about with that, we can.
Let's talk about it, because actually that was my next question. My next question was about, are there any social media platforms that you think are most relevant for artists? So I'd love to hear what you think about TikTok and how that strategy differs on that platform.
Absolutely. So, if you're not on TikTok right now, or you're being like, you're in a fight with wanting to be on TikTok, I say you have to get into it now. You have to start posting consistently now. It is the most important platform for musicians to be successful these days. And the growth opportunity that it has is what you had on Instagram, maybe 8-10 years ago, and other platforms too. It's unlike anything else. It's still the wild, wild west, but take advantage of the wild, wild west while you still have some land you can, stake. So,
good point. I love that analogy.
Thank you. Now, from a branding perspective and from a content perspective, it is it's its own beast. So you're gonna want to be posting, 2 to 3 times a day minimum. I know that sounds crazy, you guys, but it's just the way it has to work. If you need a batch content day and then schedule it all out, do it, but it has to be done. But the content there is more like a mix of trend-based content. So really watching what the trends are and finding a way to integrate your artistry into the trend. You don't even have to participate in the trend. You just have to use the trending audio, or you have to use the trend and then rename the things that are happening in order to tell your story and follow your, your journey, your artistry, your music. Mm-hmm. Stitching with people, doing organic content. The main thing that really grows musicians is really creating content of you performing, of you making music, of you, collaborating with other people, you doing riffs, you doing a cappella, you just like using your instruments and doing stuff like that. People want to see you doing what you do best on that platform, and it grows musicians the fastest. So put your artistry and focus on TikTok, mix in some of the trends, And if you can do it while being super strong with your branding, great. But it is the one platform where you can actually be the most flexible about how branded everything is. It can be loosey goosey and like really like low quality per se, but you still have to be authentic to the personality side. So that's where it's more voice and tone, it's more personality and a little less visual centric.
Okay, so you're really encouraging artists to share their artistry on TikTok. It's
Yeah.
not as much about the filters or how it looks, but more about the sound, the personality, and then like kind of like aligning with the trends in your own way.
Yes,
So how do you
exactly.
feel about artists, releasing? I've had this conversation where artists are hesitant to share unreleased music on TikTok. But I also know that artists have blown up by sharing unreleased music on TikTok. Tell me your
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's never been a better way to A/B test anything for free, right? You could post the same song edited 3 different ways over the course of 2 days on different posts on TikTok and just say, trying to get feedback on if this part of the song sounds good. Do it for all, like literally the same post, different audio for each one of them, and you're going to
Mhm.
get feedback immediately on which one performs better, even if it's just by a little bit more views than the other. So one, there's no like, you should definitely take advantage of it from a gathering information perspective. What do people like? What are you doing on a
Yeah,
demo version that people can vibe with or whatever? But two, like it is what blows a lot of people up. I know people who will literally just write a riff and then put it out there on like a popular track that's just the instrumental, and all of a sudden they just grew 100,000 followers because people just liked what they did right there, and now those people are turning that into a full song because they got so much demand for it. So I mean, it's just a
Mhm.
great opportunity to just put stuff out there and see what happens. Because one, it gives you more content to work with, but two, it's just a great chance to let people give you feedback.
I love what you said there. I want to highlight it. Put stuff out there and see what happens, because it is important to get feedback. Thank you for sharing that little nugget. Tell me about some of your successful experiences with branding clients and how, you know, the artists on today's call can apply some of these same principles for success.
Yeah, yeah. So while we're on the TikTok section,
Yeah.
we worked, we did some content ideation with an artist named Sophie Hunter last summer. And 2 weeks into the content ideation sessions, she went viral on TikTok. She went from 300 to 87,000 followers like that. She had 2 viral videos back to back, and now I think she's at like 140K followers or something. She took a little break because it's demanding, but she's continually like growing more and more on the platform, and it's really helped her see a rise in her streams, her YouTube followers, her Instagram followers. It's amazing what happens when someone goes viral on that platform. It really grows everything else.
Mm.
But other than that, we also, and this is in our course too, we figured out the TikTok algorithm, or not the YouTube algorithm so well that we wanted to test it out last year, and we were able to successfully create over 1.5 million subscribers out of a few test channels that we had created just by creating content from YouTube Shorts, which is essentially YouTube's alternative or competitive piece to TikTok. So, anyone sleeping on TikTok, if you're going to start putting attention on TikTok, or you already are, repost that stuff over to YouTube as a YouTube short, because the visibility and growth opportunity on that as well, with the right tagging strategy, can make you go viral instantly. So we've also been able to see a lot of success in the YouTube space because they're being competitive in that area too. And the best part about YouTube is if you can grow a YouTube channel with your shorts, you can also get a kickback on visibility with your long form videos, music videos, things like that, and then
Right.
use it for AdSense and all those things and start making money on your YouTube alone. So that's been some pretty cool successes. We've worked on Instagram. We have these loop campaigns we do with musicians where basically we work with influencers, and from a broad perspective, they'll do a campaign, promote all of their sponsors, musicians get a kickback on the growth from that. That's also something that just is like an immediate, like, oh, you need some social proof and you're at 500 followers. Okay, jump on a loop campaign, and then in 4 days you will have 15,000 followers. And yes, these aren't like people that followed for you, they followed for something else, but now you have an opportunity to, one, have social proof, and two, you can start working to gain these followers' trust and their attention and all these things. So it's kind of like one of those kind of passive opportunities to grow your following and build more of a reputation, so that anyone new that comes in can cycle in as an organic follower and say, wow, people are following this person I've never heard of before. FOMO, FOMO, FOMO. I need to follow them too. So there's a lot of like strategic ways to create growth that has like delayed gratification aspects to all of that.
Yeah. So Lexi asked, and I was going to ask the same thing. Can you explain a loop campaign? What exactly does that mean?
So a loop campaign is when a influencer on Instagram will say, hey guys, I'm giving out an iPad and a Tesla and all this crazy crap, right? They're like, I'm giving out all of this stuff, but to enter to win, you have to follow everyone I'm following or everyone that this other account is following. Okay. So that's typically like between 80 to 100 sponsors that you have to go and follow. And I'm sure you've seen one of these before. I mean, we did one with Cardi B, we did one with Iggy Azalea and Kalani last year. Like all the big celebrities do them too.
Wow. Okay.
And the goal for a musician is to jump on another musician's loop campaign like those, because you have a higher chance of those people being music fans in your genre for you to actually convert them into a fan. But so they'll do that. It'll run for like 4 to 7 days. All of a sudden, you'll be blasted with a ton of new followers, real people trying to sign up for this campaign. And, the campaign will go away, someone will win, and then, you'll lose maybe like 10 to 20% of the followers. But if you gained, 10 to 20,000 followers and you lose 2 to 4,000 of them, you still got a huge growth count that insanely, like, it makes you look like you're at another level, which helps with press, which helps with tour and show opportunities, which also, again, you can try and convert those people into your own fans. But my favorite piece to it is that if you're under 10K followers, it really helps you get past 10K. And then you can use, the linking feature, which used to be the swipe up feature, so that all of your stories now have more purpose. You can use them for true, proper promotion.
Right. Yes. So tell me, do you go over some of these strategies in the course that you're offering?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Cool. And to access the loop campaigns, it's for anyone who's in the course. They get access to all of the most up-to-date campaigns coming up from different celebrities and influencers and things like that. So it's exclusive to the members.
Amazing. Yeah. So anyone who is not already an IndieFlow member, be sure to grab this bundle that we're doing today for only $197. You get access to IndieFlow and the Austere course. So it's like incredible value, absolutely incredible value just for being here today. IndieFlow members, we've got the Austere course for you for a super discounted price. So if you want that, just send me an email. I'll be sending out an email as well to our IndieFlow members later today. So yeah, incredible deals on this call today for sure. So you've talked about, I've heard you mention virality and going viral. Tell me, like, how important is going viral for a musical artist? And what are some, strategies that you use to help artists go viral?
Yeah. Very important. And I think the word for a long time has had this very like unachievable connotation to it, because people thought, rarely will someone go viral that but nowadays, I mean, you probably know someone you went to high school with and their random silly video on TikTok went viral last week and you're like, that person doesn't deserve that. So anyone can go viral nowadays. The strategy to go viral really is having one of the 4 key viral things, right? You're creating curiosity, so people have a reason to ask questions or didn't not agree with what you have to say. So that's polarization as well, right? Okay. You are doing something funny that is genuinely like belly laughing hilarious. So you have to be a comedian of some kind. Shock factor. Shocking people does so much because people share the shock. They love the shock. They comment on the shock. And then for providing education and information, people love learning, regardless of what it is. So if you know your craft really well, can you teach something that no one teaches correctly with music, with music theory, with singing, with vocal, like anything that you have value that can relate back to your artistry that could be useful in the education space. That those 4 things. Now, if you can do all 4 of them at the same time, holy crap, like you're going viral. But if you can do at least one really, really well and focus on that being one of your hooks every time you create content, that's going to help with the viral aspect.
Wow. That's really good. So let me recap those. Curiosity, deep belly laugh, like really hard. Shock value. So, really maybe giving people something totally unexpected or something they wouldn't be thinking was coming. And then also kind of like, I've heard it called like infotainment.
I love that. That's great.
Like an education piece that is also entertaining.
Yeah.
So these are kind of like the traits of virality, some of the traits of virality. Cool.
Exactly.
Okay, so I want to, I see we have some questions here, so I want to open up this little ask a question box. Okay, question was, how do you decide or figure out your identity in regards to branding? I'm 31 and still can't get it right. That's okay, Marlena. So, you kind of went over this earlier about like sitting with your own music. I don't know if you want to quickly go through those steps again, or
yeah,
because they were very helpful. We could go through that one more time, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I know it is daunting to like be introspective of your branding. So I get the challenge. I totally get that. But again, it comes down to sitting down with your music, listening to it, meditating on it, thinking about what you see when you close your eyes. What are the natural things that come to you without trying? Colors, textures, symbols, objects, stories, scenes, things like that. Write them down. Write them down. Start looking for those representations of those things online, through images, through videos, whatever. Gather them. Look at them at a holistic perspective. Lay them all out on your screen, whether it's through a Pinterest board or on, a PowerPoint slide. Put them all together and see, okay, is there a cohesion here? When you start to find the cohesive pieces and you want to remove some stuff, then degrade down, look at it again. Now start creating a fake story that you can use, that you can tell, that will pull from some of these elements, but also have something that you can use for a broader branding perspective. Again, are you a woman that's dead, living in a time loop, constantly trying to reconnect with your one lost love who was a gardener, and that's why you have all these flower bouquets around you at all times in your branding? Think about how you can tell a story,
okay.
Right? So
yes.
What is that story? Everyone has something, and it's amazing what happens when you go through this process. It helps get you to that harder point where you have to start writing it out. And if you're not a good writer, get with a friend who maybe has more of that writing ability. Tell them what you're doing and show them what you're doing and have them co-write it with you. It never hurts to have help. Like I really think sometimes you can't do it yourself, and that's okay. That's why it's called a camp, a team. You need those people to help you.
Absolutely. Such good advice. So, for indie artists with, kind of limited funds, in regards to branding, what's one thing that you would recommend that they allocate funds for?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Your course.
Sure. I do think education is very important. When you can get with the right partners, people, and advisors who can help you, that's always great. But definitely limited funds. If you really have limited funds, don't spend it on a music video. Like, that's for sure. Music videos are expensive, and they are more of a advantageous thing when you have the funds and you can play around. But the real money should go towards like potentially like working with influencers or something where they can help you kind of get the growth kickback. spending some time on a really strong photo shoot that you can get with, even if it's someone young in college or a friend or something that'll do it for a little bit cheaper, like try and get as many of those under your belt, because good imagery is really important. And if you really genuinely have to DIY everything, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Canva, but I know a lot of people really like it. So sign up for Canva so you can kind of design your own stuff. There's a lot of templates out there that are a little generic, but you can customize and try and make it your own. But if you have to DIY, go into education, learn some stuff that you can DIY yourself, whether it's a course or programs you can use to start like editing your own content.
Yes.
And I mean, YouTube is amazing too. So if you don't know how to do TikToks, go YouTube how to TikTok, you know, like go YouTube how to video edit, how to photo edit. I've self-taught myself everything when I was a teenager on video editing, photo editing, graphic design, all that stuff. It prepared me for college way before any of those stupid classes had any help for me. So, you know, the internet is your best friend. And then with money, like if you can invest in some of those things, you should. And there's a lot of ways to avoid having to spend money on merch and other stuff like that. So don't put your money into merch if you don't have to. Don't put your money into music videos. You can find alternative ways to do it. And your phone is your best friend. Use this to capture content if you don't have a camera. These cameras are amazing these days. So definitely do that.
I love that. That's one thing we've talked about here at IndieFlow too, is like music videos, the return on investment can actually be quite low.
Yeah.
Because they are very expensive to make and they don't necessarily attract new followers or people ready to spend money on your music.
Yeah, it's not the MTV days anymore where you really could, you know, throw it up on a amazing platform. Like it's just not. Just focus on social media, specifically TikTok, and just put all your energy into that. And if you can run some ads on there, now's the time to run advertising on that platform. It is Facebook 10 years ago too. So
on TikTok.
Absolutely.
TikTok.
The reach, the pricing, everything on running ads on there, and the fact that you don't have to make like the fanciest advertisement for your video to do well on ads. It can be something homegrown, like, hey, I just came out with my first music or my first single. I'm really stoked about it. Please listen to it. People love that stuff.
Yeah.
Because people love supporting people on TikTok. So it's a great platform. Put your money in advertising there and nowhere else. Well, maybe if you have music videos, put it in YouTube as well, but that's it. Don't touch Facebook or Instagram for advertising ever again. It's a waste of money for musicians.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely new information for me. So yeah, I'm like, this is great. This is so good. This is why we do these, so we can get someone who has a perspective different from ours and can add this value. And you're adding a ton of value. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, of course.
So we've got this incredible bundle of, you know, $197 for IndieFlow membership and the Austere course. For those of you who don't know, who aren't familiar with IndieFlow, excuse me, we've created a platform of tools that can help you manage your music career better. You can distribute your music. You can book gigs through our EPK. You can run promotions through the platform. And you can also project manage either a release, music video, or I'm currently using it to build a website as well as actually create music. And I think project management is something that a lot of artists need. So we've got this incredible bundle. So the course, the iconic artist that you offer, tell us, what do artists get out of that course? What are they going to walk away with after completing that course?
Absolutely. So for reference, for anyone who doesn't know, I am a former creative director at Sony Music. And I left that company saying, I'm going to make the best goddamn course I can make for musicians. We never have to be signed to some trash place like that again. Therefore, I put together pretty much everything that I learned there and beyond. So it's all of the branding strategy in detail that we talked about today, but in like micro detail. It is social media strategies, best practices for every single platform that matters for a musician, from aesthetics to storytelling to how much content on everything, the perfect release strategy, right? So how much content, what does the content calendar look like? What does every single post need to be about leading up to a release, day of release, and post-release, and the length. It is ways to make money as a musician. Make sure you're monetizing and all the different strategies to monetize without having to put in money as an investment up front. So that could be merch, that could be subscription models, that is taking on the metaverse. We have a whole section on NFTs, the metaverse, virtual reality events, all those things that you can start participating in, and you should, right? Advertising strategies, PR strategies, templates and scripts for things to say to people to get booked and get attention from people, and a bunch of stuff in between. Virality, learning how to go viral on TikTok, a whole bunch of stuff. And we add to it probably every 6 months with new strategies, because we also are an agency. So as an agency, we learn from our campaigns and we add new strategies and tactics every time we see something is working or isn't working.
That's amazing. That sounds so incredible. Let me see if I think we've got a few questions here. Emily says, well, just bought it. Good for you.
Awesome. No regrets. It'll be great.
Remember that will the deal still be available tomorrow? It's possible. It's possible. So if you're interested in the deal, just drop an emoji in the chat now so that somebody from IndieFlow can follow up with you. Whatever emoji that you're feeling right now, I'm feeling, if I were to drop an emoji, oh my goodness, I'd probably do the smiley face with the heart eyes, because I'm just like loving, I feel like I'm cheesing over here listening to all this information and just absolutely loving it. So yeah, if you're interested in the deal, drop an emoji in the chat, and so we can follow up with you. If you are an IndieFlow member already, send me an email or send our team an email, because we have a special deal just for you, since you guys are already on the IndieFlow platform. But those of you not on the IndieFlow platform, definitely want to get signed up to that too. The two of these together, I just totally incredible.
That's an amazing deal.
It's a total steal. I mean, considering that takes care of your distribution for the next year as well. So
that's
you're
wild.
learning about branding. You're going to be able to distribute your music, and you're going to get the tools you need to manage the projects. So let's see. Let me check in with the question and answer, the ask a question page real quick.
Yeah, if y'all have more questions, please ask.
So here's a question. It says, what about if you have different vibes in your songs, upbeat and mellow? Do you recommend staying in one lane? I guess sonically staying in one lane versus kind of doing different things. What do you think about that, the sonic quality when it comes to branding?
Yeah. I get that question a lot, and we've actually worked with musicians on their branding that have had split personalities per se in their music, right? And that ultimately there's two ways that you can attack this. You can either have a duality to your branding, right? Where they work together from a yin yang perspective, and you have two different styles that kind of circle each other or constantly kind of meld into each other. And that could be something you throw into your subliminal narrative. So that's the other kind of piece. Your subliminal narrative could be telling two sides of a story. It could be your personality when you're feeling one way and your personality when you're feeling another way. It could be two people speaking to each other constantly from a subliminal perspective. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can turn it into a conversation from a visual side of things. So yeah, I mean, you can be soft and you can be hard, and that can just be one person being like totally different people, like, you know, split personality vibes. And I think that typically works out really, really well. Or it's, you know, where you're contemplating, you're going in through the ebbs and the flows of what am I feeling, or, you know, what is actually happening in the story, and we kind of are taken on a roller coaster the whole time. That can work too. It just kind of comes down to like, how can you show both of them and they work together and separately?
Work together and separately. That's a really good perspective. And I know a lot of artists are diverse, you know, they're making different kinds of music. So another question coming in here is, someone asked about tags, and you did mention like using tags appropriately. I think it was in reference to YouTube. What else can you say about tags, hashtags, I guess? And
yeah. So for YouTube tagging, it's a lot. There's probably like admittedly like 600 tags you want to have on YouTube when you're doing YouTube shorts, in order for you to hit the algorithm the right way and start getting that
Say
virality.
600 tags.
600 at least.
Wow.
I'm not joking with you guys. It is the ugliest thing you'll ever see, but it works. And because if you look at what YouTube really is, like from a very broad perspective, YouTube is Google through videos, right? It's all SEO. It's
Yeah.
just, how do you get the top of the list? You have the best SEO for what people are searching for, and you're at the top. Same thing for the shorts feed, which is their, alternative to TikTok. The more tags you have that people use to search for or find similar content, the more chances you will show up on their feed. And if your content is good, they'll want to follow and, subscribe to your channel, and you'll have a chance to have them as a fan from other stuff that you're creating. So 600 plus tags, think of it as a broad thing. And that doesn't mean they're all hashtags. It just means they're all tags. I go in depth in the course, but it is a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And
absolutely.
I know there was another question. Let me pull this up. I have this access to this little ask a question where users can actually ask questions.
Nice.
How do I manage changing my brand name without losing existing fans? It's a good question.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. So, it depends. Like, if you're making completely different music and it's super not like the past project and your name is changing, then you could create new accounts and just tell people to move over there if you're wanting to keep making content and music for this original identity, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
If it's you still making the same music, but you're just changing your name, people will forgive you. They'll get over it. You just have to be less precious about how people perceive you. If your face doesn't change and your name changes, I think people will remember. It's fine, right? So make an announcement about it, post it on your feed, post it on your story a couple of times, and let people know you're rebranding. I mean, Kanye's done it like 10 million times, right? And we still know it's that dude over there. So make sure you just let people know, and then archive anything that doesn't match the branding. If your name changes and your branding changes, archive all the old stuff maybe, but keep all of them, like the most important posts, maybe those, monumental milestones in your career. And then everything else should be on brand for the new stuff.
That was a great answer. That was such a good answer.
Thank you.
And a good question. So thank you for asking that question. So we've got a few more minutes here. I want to try to get all these questions. Let's see. What makes a successful artist? Authenticity or great production and content? Is it an or is it all of those?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I've seen musicians who have the most amazing, like they've got, trust fund babies with the most amazing music videos you'll ever see and the most overproduced content you'll ever see, and they're struggling to be successful. So I will say 1000% authenticity, personality, or persona is truly what makes someone successful nowadays. The content is additive because especially on a platform like TikTok, where people can go viral looking like they filmed something on a potato, like you're going to be fine. So just make sure your content ideas and execution is good from again, what are those viral things we talked about? What are you doing to follow your persona and be someone that is interesting enough for people to want to explore more content for? The production value can always increase. But it's really hard to be very personable and be good on camera and know how to be that persona. That has to be worked on and workshopped.
Got it. So focus on the persona, focus on that authentic part of yourself that you want to share. Can you hire someone to manage your social media, or do you recommend doing it yourself? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think both are very, very valuable. If you get to the point where you have the extra funds, or you have a full-time job and you can afford to hire someone part-time to do your socials for you, it is very valuable, but you still have to be the one to create the content. So ultimately, all they're doing for you is scheduling. And there are so many tools to make that part really easy for you. So then it's just a matter of, well, where do you want your money to go that gets the most ROI? Like, what's the 80-20 rule in this? Is it more valuable to spend money on someone to follow you around and capture content and then edit it for you? Probably more than someone to just go in like 1 hour out of every 2 weeks, schedule a bunch of stuff for you and probably charge maybe a little bit less, but still charge you money for that when you could just have a
Right.
dedicated Sunday routine where you sit down and you schedule your content.
Yeah. And do you have any recommendations for tools? I know we've talked about Facebook Creator Studio, but do you have any other recommendations for tools for scheduling?
Yes, I am a big fan of later.com. It was traditionally really more of an Instagram scheduler. Now it schedules for everything. It's easy. There's a free version if you post less, if you schedule less than 2 weeks out or something.
Okay.
It's awesome. It's very, very affordable. Again, you can schedule even for TikTok, which you'll still have to go in and add some stuff on TikTok for you to post, but it's probably my favorite one, and I've played with a ton of them over the years.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. I hadn't heard
Yeah.
of that one. So, okay, I think Janae asks, I released a bunch of music last year that didn't get a lot of traction on Facebook and Insta.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way to rework content on TikTok with that release, or is it just too late and should I move forward?
Oh, I love this question. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. If you have old music that you still love and you want to revitalize and give it a new life, TikTok is the place to do it. There's no like requirement for a timeline on TikTok for you to repost and reshare and re-inspire people with your old content. So, yes, integrate your music into that, even if it's old stuff. You can find ways to throw it into trending moments or just organically, like maybe you do an acoustic version of it, or you go live and you do all your old songs performed live, which is a great way to grow your following, by the way.
Ooh, love
Um, and in general, just like you have older music, you have a discography of stuff, utilize it, put it out there, and just keep promoting it while you mix in some of the stuff that's more new and trendy or whatever. Like you never know, old music goes viral on there all the time.
yeah. And if no one, if people haven't heard it, it's new to them.
That's it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you for asking that question.
That's a
All
good one.
right, let me just check if we've answered all the questions. I know we just got a few more minutes here. I think we've answered all these questions. Tags, changing my name, deal available. Can you hire someone? How do I build my brand identity and portfolio in tech when I'm first starting out, especially the about bio?
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah, do you have an
I
answer
don't
to that? I'm not sure.
I'm assuming they mean tech as in like on socials and on profiles and things like
That's what
that.
I'm thinking too.
So in
Yeah.
that case, I would say, go secure your handles at the very least. It's always very important. If you know what the name is, secure your handle every single place. And every time there's a new platform that pops up, secure it anyways. You just never know what's going to happen. But secure your handle. And then in the about, like it can be very, very simple. What kind of music do you make? What's a cute little blurb that you can use that gives people a taste of your personality, and what's coming up next? Simple, easy, right? And even if you don't know that yet, just leave it all as a placeholder until you've gone through the branding practice and filled it maybe with some inspo content to start giving people a vibe, right?
Great
Because even
idea.
if you haven't done a photo shoot, haven't done a music video, don't have cover art, fine. Find a bunch of filler content, inspo content that gives the vibe, start posting that, and give people the coming soon messaging, for as long as you need to until you have something that people can see. But at least then you can get followers that way at the very least, and people can start having an idea of what you're about to do.
Okay, I love that. What a great answer. Okay, we have one more question here. I see it just came in. Is there an app to build new fans if you are just starting out? I noticed a lot of the fan apps are for people who already have a fan base.
Is there an app to build new fans? As in, like, are we talking like Patreon or
I'm not sure.
is there an app to build new fans if you were just starting
Yeah.
out? if we're assuming this is about already like fan base apps, like we're talking stock musicians or stocks or musicians for Patreon and things like that, again, get everything ready to go. Prepare all of your ecosystem in ways that you can have your fans participate with you. Then integrate people into your social media to then get there already. Like, yeah, like Patreon, FanBridge. Okay, yeah, so definitely get it all ready to go. Create your levels and your different things, because as long as it's built, you did one piece of the project. Now you can link it in your link tree and all the other things. And when every once in a while, when you start noticing your fans are growing, start, calling them to action, sending them over there. You've already done the back end work to build it. Now you let them come, but it's going to take time. They're going to trickle in. But 10 people paying you $10 is still better than no people paying you $10, right? So you just gotta start slowly working through that. And every one of you should start also at some point getting yourself your own community. So if it's not FanBridge, it could be a Discord or something where you own your fans in a certain way, where you can communicate to them without having to pay money to social media to do so.
Yeah. So beautiful. I love that. And on that note, we're here at the end of our call today. And Natasha, thank you so, so much. This was exciting and valuable and really in depth. I know I've learned a lot. I know the artists on the call have learned a lot. So I just want to say thank you so much for your time. And where can people find you online, or whatever you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah. I appreciate you guys for having me. Seriously, this was a blast. I love y'all. You have the best community. Everyone in the comments is just so sweet and kind, and you've got good people. You found the right people. So thank you again. But to find me online, my handle for everything is Natasha Austere, but it's just one A between the two words. So it's at Natasha Austere. I typed it in the chat. That's me everywhere. And then my company Austere is just Austere on Instagram. But yeah.
Wonderful. All right. We'll drop an emoji, y'all, if you enjoyed this chat. If you want to find out more about the bundle as well, go ahead and drop an emoji here, because it really is an incredible deal. Grab it today. That would be my advice for you, is grab it today. If you're getting paid on Friday, throw it on your credit card today and pay it off on Friday, because this deal I'm in awe of it. I'm excited to do your course. I plan on doing it. So
can't wait to see you in there. I love it.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Natasha, thank you again for your time and your energy. It is so appreciated. We at IndieFlow really appreciate it. So,
likewise. Thank you guys.
And with that, I think it's time to say ta-ta. So we're signing off here. And
bye.
4, 3, 2, 1. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.